This is the alternative show on SwinRadio. Everything but mainstream.
Today I'm talking about local updates in regards to top venues here in Melbourne, and I'm also looking at alternative film and music trends. This is News Update on SwinRadio. After lots of bad news throughout the last weeks, today's local update is full of positivity as the Victorian government is easing more restrictions. In regards to restaurants, bars and cafes, restrictions will ease as the following. So at the moment, you can go to a restaurant or cafe to dine in and have a drink to your meal if you want. The maximum number of guests is 20 per enclosed space. From the 22nd of June, restaurants and bars are allowed to serve alcohol without a meal again and have 50 guests per enclosed space. So bars might open up soon. In regards to entertainment and culture, you can already go to certain places such as galleries, museums, animal facilities like zoos, or historic sites. From the 22nd of June, you can finally go to indoor cinemas, concert venues, and theaters again. All, of course, in a limited number of people, so 50 visitors per separate space. But which alternative venues actually open up and worth to make a booking?
The Alternative Show.
So I have a few venue tips for you for a post-lockdown experience, whether it's dining or entertainment, just outside your home, of course. Starting with my favorite alternative restaurant, Smith & Daughters in Fitzroy. It reopens its doors on the 16th of June. I call Smith & Daughters an alternative because the whole menu is plant-based. But they have some new rules you should know before you make a reservation. The most important one is all dinner customers are required to dine off a set menu, which is $80 each. In this set menu you will get, for instance, fried baby eggplant, fried chicken schnitzel and tiramisu. And yes, it's all vegan. My second insider tip is the Wizard's Den at Polybar, which is located in Fitzroy as well. At this pop-up, you will experience a very special alternative and magical cocktail class, all in the theme of witches and wizards. While you're wearing a robe, you learn in a 90-minute experience how to brew a potion under the watchful eye of the wise potions master. This class is created for everyone who loves magic and fantasy, or just wants to be part of a different kind of cocktail class. Doors are open from the 24th of June and tickets are available now for $50 each. And lastly, for all movie lovers, Carlton Cinema Nova finally reopens on Monday the 22nd of June. Nova offers a large range of indie movies such as Little Woman, The Assistant, and even black and white films like The Lighthouse. Tickets are available from now on Cinema Nova's website. Speaking of indie movies, we have another film check for you in a few moments. SwinRadio. Today's film check on the alternative show on SwinRadio. Today we have another indie film check for you. And for those of you who are listening for the first time and might heard about indie films but not really sure what these movies are, a short little definition for you. Indie films or independent movies are produced outside the major film studio system and also distributed by independent entertainment firms. So that means filmmakers don't depend on major companies like Warner Brothers, for instance. And that is often why they can create their more personal film kind of style in those indie films. So these films are considered as the more artsy content in comparison to usual cinema movies. You can also say that they are the alternative version to mainstream film production, so outside the basic Hollywood. Our today's indie film review is about the 2017 comedy drama Lady Bird, written and directed by Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig is, by the way, the partner of Noah Baumbach, who wrote Marriage Story, and she also collaborated with him on film sets before that. I chose this movie because she is an apparent rising star in the film industry as a director, and Lady Bird was her solo debut 3 years ago. So I was really interested in what she created, especially because Lady Bird got a lot of attention, earned heaps of nominations and awards. For example, the Independent Spirit Award for the Best Screenplay. And besides that, the indie movie got an incredibly good rating by the Rotten Tomatoes of 99%.
The Alternative Show.
So the main character of this movie is the young woman Christine McPherson, played by Saoirse Ronan. Christine is a senior of a Catholic high school in Sacramento and wants everyone to call her Lady Bird.
Lady Bird, is that your given name?
Yeah, I gave it to myself. It's given to me by me.
While she's finishing high school, she tries to figure out who she is and what her opportunities are after graduation.
I hate California. I want to go to the East Coast. I want to go where culture is, like
How
New
in the world
York,
did I raise such a
or at least
snob?
Connecticut or New Hampshire, where writers live in the
Get into
woods.
those schools anyway.
Mom,
You should just go to City College.
Her dream is to go to a prestigious college somewhere on the East Coast, but her mom wants her to stay in Sacramento. As in many other teenage girl movies, this film is about the lead character who actually does not really know what she wants, and so does Lady Bird.
So, you're not interested in any Catholic colleges?
no way. I want schools like Yale, but not Yale because I probably couldn't get in.
You definitely couldn't get in.
She tries many different roles on her to find out what fits her best. She meets boys and falls in love. She wants to shine but does mistakes. But what this movie is mainly about is the relationship about her and her mother Marion, played by Laura Metcalf. It is kind of a love story between them. Both really love and care for each other, but they are so different. So they struggle a lot in their communication and have many conflicts.
Does Mom hate me?
You both have such strong personalities.
If you're tired, we can sit down.
I'm not
You
tired.
were dragging your feet.
You are so infuriating.
Please stop yelling.
I'm not yelling.
I personally found this movie very enjoyable to watch. It was heartbreaking, hopeful, and had a lot of humor in it. Each character was played so well by their actor, and especially Saoirse as Lady Bird did a very good job. She was just a perfect fit for this role because she played it super authentically, which is so important for such realistic plot. When I watched the movie, I could really connect to the characters and kind of started to care for them. Especially the mother-daughter relationship reminded me of my own with my mom. So I got a little bit emotional and even dropped some tears at the very end, which is only a good sign for well acting, I guess. But not only to me, I think this movie is relatable to many people. Not just because of the conflict-filled mom-daughter relationship, but also because it shows so well what young adults are struggling with when they just finish high school. I reckon we all remember when we wanted to be like someone on one day and like someone completely different on the other day. In total, I definitely agree with the given 99% by Rotten Tomatoes and give 5 out of 5 stars. So I really recommend to watch the movie if you haven't yet. You can find it on Netflix, by the way.
What I'd really like is to be on Math Olympiad.
But math isn't something you're terribly strong in.
That we know of yet.
The Alternative Show. Music check on The Alternative Show on SwinRadio. It's time for another alternative music check. Today we are focusing on one particular band and one particular album. And it's all about the genre alternative rock. So the band we are looking at is a non-commercial and independent rock band. Amistad is the band's name and the album is called Live Album, which is because all songs are produced as live versions. But let's talk about Amistad first. Amistad is formed by the twin brothers Joseph and Jan Praisel, who have a very interesting multicultural background. They are half Czech and half Australian, but were born in Germany and raised in Italy. They ended up traveling a lot during the year, but their base is here in Melbourne. Yet, they released 4 albums, like for instance, Somewhere Sometime or their debut album Parlay, which they also played on festivals, such as the Woodford Folk Festival. So for their live album, they chose former songs and produced those as a live version. Now I would like to play my personal favorite from the album. The song is called Far From Home. After that, I have something very interesting for you, as I'm going to meet one half of Amistad, Joseph, when we have a virtual interview. We will talk about their new album, this particular song I'm going to play, and also the impact of COVID-19. But first, here is Far From Home as live version by Amistad.
This correction, can't you see that I'm drowning in desire for perfect perfection? And you only feel alive when it's you again. Now that I've lost all my clarity, I'm bearing my soul to find peace and for you to return to me. And you'll only love it life when it's you again. Would it get easier, easier, far from home? Would it get easier, easier, far from home? Uncovered my weakness, still creeping around and seducing my wit with your sweetness. The bitter and sweet taste of incompleteness. Would it get easier, easier, far from home? 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 Chase that seems to be now taking its toll on me, misleading, oh so leading, the journey is to go. Chase that seems to be now taking its toll on me, misleading, also leading, the journey is to go. A chase that seems to be now taking its toll on me, misleading, also leading, the journey is to go. A chase that seems to be now taking its toll on me, misleading, also leading, the journey is. Would it get easier, easier, far from home? Would it get easier, easier, far from home? It's not gonna get easier, easier, far from home. It's not gonna get easier, easier, far My mind, stop this correction. Can't you see that I'm drowning in desire for perfect perfection?
Far From Home by Amistad. What a beautiful song. This is the alternative show on SwinRadio. Everything but mainstream. Amistad is our special guest today, or at least one half of it. That means I have the honor to interview Joseph Praisel, via phone of course, since current circumstances wouldn't allow a face-to-face meeting. But besides that, we actually couldn't meet in person today because Joseph is at the moment in Cologne, in Germany. So he is in my hometown and I am in his, which is a funny coincidence. Anyways, I'm happy to have Joseph here in just a few moments.
The Alternative Show.
Hi Joseph, it's nice to meet you. We are looking at your new live album now and just heard your song Far From Home. What is the background to this song?
I guess Far From Home we wrote when we moved back when we relocated from Australia back to Europe, and then we went to England we wanted to move to England, which we did, which was a weird experience because we've never been to England before and just decided to move to Brighton, which is down by the coast, and then that was a challenging experience, and that sort of gave birth to Far From Home. We were just in an Airbnb, not feeling the best because everything was so new and just overwhelming. I was just like, oh, maybe it was a mistake that we left Australia. And then we just had this upright piano in the living room of this lady that we're staying with in the Airbnb, and we just woke up in the morning and all we did was just play piano because somehow that was all we had. So that's when we wrote Far From Home, and that was a really, really challenging time, and I think the song in a way reflects that hardship that went through. And I every time I sing it, I just remember how tough that was and how grateful I am that we got out of that and that we had that experience. I mean, everything bad also makes you grow. So we grew a lot with that move. So that song is very special.
As I just mentioned before, you have a very interesting multicultural background, with parents from Czech and Australia, but you were born in Germany and raised in Italy. Would you say this background influenced you as a band?
Absolutely. I think as we speak 4 languages, I think that all plays into the writing process, plus, being or having lived in like 4 or 5 different places for a few years at a time. I think that all had an impact on what music we grew up with, and it all plays into the style and the way we sing and how we write. I think it absolutely had a big impact that we weren't just based in one country, but that we saw a lot of different music and a lot of different music backgrounds.
I would be interested in, how did you become a band and when did it start?
Well, especially Jan always played music. He always wanted to be a musician, and I just started singing at some stage. Maybe I think at 12 or something, we had a band and covered a lot. I went to Australia with 19 with my brother and started playing. That's why I started playing an instrument. Before that, I was just singing, and then we came back to Europe a year later, and then I moved to Australia for good because I met a girl there, and that's when I started playing music. I started busking and quit my job and just started living off playing gigs. And my brother, always, like I said, always wanted to be a musician, and I told him to come over and we tried a music thing, see what happens. And that was in 2012, and then we just started busking, and it all started from there. And then we just decided to keep going, and then 8 years later, we're still here and still doing it.
I personally know you as a band because I saw you playing on Queen Victoria Market here in Melbourne. I love the songs you were playing and just shazammed them. So I need to admit I'm a little fan. What does playing on Queen Victoria Market mean for you?
To be honest, it was just like a job to make money, you know, like waking up in the morning, going to the office, doing your 9 to 5, then you come home. That's sort of what busking was. I mean, paid practice. Plus, yeah, you can't really live off touring unless you're a bigger artist. So we had to make money some way. So that was just a great way to make money. Plus, you get to play every day and you make new fans and you're outside and you meet people. So yeah, it was a great way for us to start, really.
Speaking of being outside and making new fans, that is something which wasn't and still is not that easy since the COVID-19 outbreak. What impact has the coronavirus crisis on you as a band?
Oh, huge. I mean, all of our shows that we had lined up, festivals, all's been cancelled. So, yeah, I think the music industry, yeah, is struggling at the moment. All the artists, there's no concerts, and I mean, they said that it's going to go back to at least a few of the venues opening back up in September, I think. So there's nothing till then. I mean, it's already been 2 months without concerts, and I mean, financially, it's a big strain. I mean, we got some government support, but not every artist has been able to apply successfully. So a lot of musicians struggle, and yeah, I mean, you can't rely on that source of income anymore. So you have to just be creative and see how else you can make some money, and just have to hang tight. And I mean, it's weird not playing concerts because you sort of easily forget why you wake up and you're like, well, I'm a musician, but I can't do what a musician does, which is play music and make new fans. So you have to sort of do more online stuff. You know, we've been live a lot more on Instagram, and we've been just trying to reach fans in a different way. You know, it's not live anymore, it's online.
Yeah, I reckon online platforms are a great opportunity in many different ways during these tough times. Anyways, back to your live album. Why did you decide to produce all these songs as a live version?
I guess we over the years we collected this back catalogue of songs, like you said, and we always felt like they're great, but over the years they change a lot. You know, it's like raising a child, and it gets older, and it grows with you and it grows on you. And I don't know, it just felt like stuff that we recorded 4 or 5 years ago has changed so much that it's almost like a new song. So we wanted to capture that new version, and always wanted to do something live because we love live, and I think that's why we do music. That's what we're doing for, you know, it's playing music live. So we tried to record stuff in the past, but weren't really happy with it. And then last year, when was it? Yeah, last year, and before we went to Australia, we were in Berlin, and we just booked the studio for a day, and we have just, back then we had come off the tour of our own, of the new EP that we were promoting, and then we just felt like, I think it's the time to pick our 10 favorite songs and just record them live and get them out there in the new way, in that new version that we had. Yeah.
And my last question for today is, what is your favorite song of your live album?
I think my favorites, I've always loved Age of Thrones. That's always been a very, very special song to me, because it sort of was a very special time when we wrote it, when we first moved to Australia, and everything was just so new, and it was like experience of discovering a new planet. So that sort of came out of that time. So that always brings me back to that time.
Thank you so much for your time and enjoy the time in my hometown, Cologne.
Yeah, in your hometown. All the best. Bye bye.
SwinRadio. As it's Joseph's favorite song, here is the live version of Age of Thrones by Amistad.
Well, you honesty alongside gold and a friend in days of lonely. And in his oath, a king's crown he owns, his throne a queen to the left, sees a difference friend from foe, to be aware of the lover's theft. Lessons you learn to trust you not. As a king you see the fate, writing riddles to rid his curse. Remember your steps, remember them all, and choose wise your page in the age of thrones. And choose wise your page in the age of thrones. No. The more he thinks, the less we ease. Misty mountain, pointy trees. Days is counting down, no tears. Men are bound to face their fear. Those walls of ease, it seems smuttier in days. Shit smells perfumed. Blinded by greed to eat more than your feet, yet you're the one who'll be doomed. Lessons you learn to trust you not. Oh, as a king you see the fate, writing riddles to rid his curse. Remember your steps, remember them all. As a king you see the fate, writing riddles to rid his curse. Remember your steps, remember them all. And choose wise your page in the age of thrones. And choose wise your page in the age of thrones. Fate, writing riddles to rid his curse. Remember your steps, remember them all. And choose wise your page in the age of thrones. And choose wise your page in the age of thrones. We chose the page in the age of thrones.
This was the alternative show on SwinRadio. See you next time.
Everything but mainstream.